Welcome to the Moving to LA podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Sprague, along with my stunning husband, Andrew Sprague. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm super excited about today's episode, especially, yeah.
Something really exciting happened to us, and we are actually just barely able to talk about it, because this actually happened to us back in February. As of now, we probably will release this April 15th or a day or two after, so some of you already know. But Andrew actually got to be on...
I got to be on The Price is Right, so...
Yeah.
We'll tell all the ins and outs, how I was able to get on there, what I said and did, and how it all turned out. But let's definitely dive into how we ended up there in the first place, shall we?
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, The Price is Right is one of my favorite shows. This is a show that I grew up watching. I mean, everyone tends to watch it when, like, they're sick as a kid or something like that, but I would watch it all the time. It's just one of my favorite shows. So...
If you're in an iron lung every day.
Yeah, which I was.
Right.
My parents are anti-vaxxers. I got polio.
Boobs turned out great, though.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's the only part of me that's good.
So much gravity
is my
you had to
boob.
lay down.
Yeah, exactly. So, because that's one of my favorite shows, Andrew got some tickets because they're free, luckily. He went on to thepricesright.com and went to the ticket section and got 2 tickets for us for the day after my birthday as a birthday present.
Right, so heads up for people who are obviously using this podcast to learn about LA. There are so many TV shows that you can go to, and they all are free. In fact, some of them even pay you, depending on what kind of audience member you're going to be. Or like The Price is Right, you have an opportunity to win. So there are so many TV shows that you can go and be an audience member for, as well as these game shows. So all you have to do is sign up online. You don't even have to live in California. Obviously, it's easy. And if you're listening to this, I don't know why you wouldn't be.
Right. How early did you get the tickets?
They actually didn't show more than 3 weeks at a time, so it was, within maybe a month or so before, so probably look into that because they don't do too far ahead, or at least they won't let you book. They'll tell you what dates they're showing, but they won't let you click tickets. So. Right.
That might be a little easier for people living in LA to schedule that out. So for people who are coming in to visit and they want to do The Price is Right, definitely just keep your eye open, since you will know what days you're there and what your plans are for the most part, that you might be able to do that. So you said that you need to be 18, but it was actually interesting because on my birthday, there was a showing that you were going to take me to, but it actually was for high schoolers. So that was like the one time that I couldn't really do it, is because of high schoolers. So anyway, so you surprised me with these tickets, and we went to...
I made her guess the price of various grocery items before I gave her the tickets.
We went to the grocery store, and he just covered the price.
This
was like,
Mrs.
how much
Buttersworth maple syrup.
No, actually, that would probably be kind of smart. Anyway, but that would be, who has time for that?
Yeah, bad husband here. No,
yeah.
More creative next time.
Right.
But we were able to get the tickets. It's in West Hollywood, which is not very far from where we live, luckily enough, so we were able to drive down there. We parked at the Grove, because there's not a lot of street parking, and you're going to be there all day, especially if you're able to win. So we'll find out if I have any information on the inside scoop on that. But you can park there, and it's just around the block. You have to walk in. There's no parking on site.
Yeah, and it's like $20 to park there for the whole experience, because this whole thing takes like 5 hours. Like, it is an all-day thing.
We were there for a 1 o'clock show. There's a 9 o'clock and a 1 o'clock, and even then we got there like around 12:30, went through security. They got us checked in. We showed them our tickets. You go through line, you have to fill out paperwork regardless of if you're planning on winning or anything, but just the mere fact that you're in the audience means you're eligible, so you have to have your driver's license and...
Yeah, you have to prove that you're an American citizen. I think you can also be Canadian as well.
Yeah, you definitely can.
So it's just basically proving that, A, you are eligible, so which you could still be in the audience if you're not eligible. I think you still need to be 18, but if you're not a citizen, like the first time I went through The Price is Right, because this was actually the second time I went through, I didn't get on the first time. I went with someone from Germany, and she was able to come and watch, but she knew she wasn't going to be able to participate. So just know that, like...
There's Bob Baca. Who is this Drew Carey person?
She really didn't know anything about it. She was just along for the ride. But, yeah, so just know if you don't meet all the requirements, you can still go watch it. But just, in my opinion, it's not worth it unless you're going unless to
a German
have a chance to,
student who's tagging along. What other reason would you be there for than to try to win? So you go through a long, long line. So that's a big heads up, is make sure your phone is charged, because you are going to do a lot of waiting in line, talking to the people next to you. As you go through the line, you get the infamous name tag. Somebody asks you. They usually use your full name on your actual license. So if you go by another name or a nickname, they usually won't write it for you.
Just to kind of give the full process. So yeah, when you go through security, you do the paperwork, you get your tag, and then you give all the paperwork to someone who just basically like goes, okay, I have all your information, you're good to go, just go. And then you go and take a picture in front of a green screen pretending that you won a car or whatever, which I don't know if this is like a test to see if you're like excited enough. After you take the picture, you go, the longest part of it is just going and sitting to wait for the interview with the producer, which they did a little different this time, because the first time I went through, you waited on this outside.
There was a back room casting couch. You had to go in there
We
alone.
did all have to have sex with him, and like I thought that was a little weird, but I get it. Like, just who has the most energy after that?
And there were 350 people.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, how can this guy keep it up for so long? So we just waited in this area with benches. It's kind of outside, but it's still covered. Last time, we actually went into his office to talk to him, which I think has been the process for forever. This time, he was just coming to us. Like, we would all just be... They would bring in a group of, I don't know, maybe like 15 people at a time, 10 to 15, just right in that area, and he would go and talk to each person individually. But just waiting to talk to him takes a long time, because he has to talk to every single person. There's like 350 people there. So that part's definitely the longest. But once you get to the interview portion of it, it feels like it goes by pretty quickly, because...
Especially if you're a boring person.
Right. He just skips over you. Like, he's really nice, he's very personal, but it's clear, like, who he is interested in, who he isn't interested in, because people he's interested in, he will stay with them for a little bit longer.
Right.
Boring
and his
people,
name is Stan Blitz, and he's been doing it, I think, for 34 years. So he has literally interviewed probably over maybe 1 million people by now. Definitely in the 6 figures at least. So he knows exactly the kind of people that he wants to choose to get up there. So he definitely is actually like interviewing you for potential. It's not just a thing that he's has to go through the motions. He seemed very energetic, very into it, and I was just blown away by a guy who's been doing this for so long and just knows it like the back of his hand, has full control over everything. It still has that approach to the show that today's episode is just as important as every other episode we've ever done. So that was pretty cool.
Right, it was really cool. So
he's the guy you gotta please.
Yeah, so this really is like, and I know that this is something that's probably would be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but this is how you get weeded out and get on stage.
Really quickly, we can super cut this in. But when we were in line, we actually ran into somebody that we were really excited to meet. His name is Charlie Kuntz, and he played the character of Fat Neil on the TV show Community, especially in the Dungeons and Dragons episode. What's the name of the actual episode?
I think it's just called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, right. Yeah. And we got to chat with him a little bit. He was working there at CBS, running around doing things. So you asked him, hey, go ahead.
Because Andrew was like, he was whispering to me, he's like, I think that's the guy who plays Neil in Community.
And when I say Fat Neil, that is his character.
That is his character's name. Yeah, yeah. And so I was like, oh yeah, because I was noticing, and it sounded just like him too, and kind of looked like him, but he had a beard, which he doesn't in the show. Right. So I was like, I mean, it might be him, but then I heard him, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely him. So I asked him, I was like, wait, hold on, are you in Community? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh my god, we got to tell him, like, oh, that is like
our favorite episode.
Yeah, our favorite episode is the Dungeons and Dragons episode, and like he's the subject of it. So right. We definitely, it was cool to be able to tell this person, hey, like, we loved that. Like,
right.
you
and that's
did
a great
so
show.
well.
Community's awesome, but it's
right.
been off the air for a while, so I'm not sure how often he gets it, right?
Right, exactly. But also, the other person we saw, well, I didn't see him, you did, but as we were walking into the CBS studios, Andrew saw Jared Leto just, like,
Jared
sitting
Leto
there.
was sitting on a bench having a conversation with somebody eating lunch, but definitely disguised. He had a beanie on and sunglasses and the whole mile, but it was, so easy to see all his skinny figure or whatever. But, yeah, it was like, as we were walking by, I did a double take, and I was like, that's Jared Leto.
He was a good omen, I guess.
Right.
But, so, we get to the interview line, finally. And
that was 30 seconds to Jared Leto.
That's about what he gets, for me, at least. So, we get to the interview line. He is going down the line, talking to everyone. Once again, it's pretty crystal clear. Even though he is so nice and so personal, it's clear when he goes, oh, nope, not that person. Like, he just moves on immediately.
Describe that. What do you mean?
So he would go like, hey, what's your name? My name's so-and-so. Oh, great. What do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, great. So you do the, so you're, a doctor. So you're saving lives, whatever. Yeah. Oh, awesome. All right. Next person. Like, it would be that quick.
Literally give him a one-sentence response and no follow-up question. Right?
Exactly. It's like, he makes you feel like he's staying on you for a minute by, like, kind of just, I think he has a system of, like, question, statement, move on. If he likes you, it's more clear because he'll stay on you a little more, and, like, whatever interesting thing that he picked up from you, he will continue to talk about for a minute or ask you additional questions. So
for instance,
so the
when
reason
he got to me,
exactly.
He asked me what I did for a living, and I energetically said I was unemployed.
Yay!
And I got everybody to clap along with me. I got them to all cheer for me, and so he seemed to enjoy that. And he followed up with, that's a lot of our we wouldn't have the prices right if we didn't have the unemployed people watching it. So he kind of had fun with that, and then he chatted with me a little bit about why I was out here in LA and what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to work in production. And he said, what part? And I said, hey, I want to start off as a PA. I'm willing to work, my way up and just kind of see what role fits me. And he joked, hey, go straight to HR. Don't even worry about the show anymore. Head over there. So, I got people clapping with that. And I'm trying to remember if he said anything else to me.
The one thing I noticed that he asked you that I'm proud of myself for is that I told you, hey, he might ask you what your favorite game in The Price is Right is.
Oh, that's right. So, that was the very last thing he asked me. It was
exactly.
Like, and end of statement. And, real quick, Andrew, what's your favorite game? And I said, flip-flop. Because it's easy. Because you literally only have to choose one of two. You either flip the price or you don't,
it's technically 4. But it's still fairly easy.
2 coin tosses.
Right. And that's kind of an indicator that he's a little interested in you, is that he asks you that question as well.
Right. And to see, are you a true fan of the show?
And if you actually care, because most people say Plinko.
Right.
And I get it. Plinko is fun, and, like, I do think that there are some people who genuinely
there was a big viral video
right
when we went. A guy who just won playing Plinko, he won like $50,000 and he went insane.
Yeah,
so
like, you can win big,
right.
of course, and, like, it's really just putting a chip down, but I was like, don't say Plinko, find something else, because I know it's hard to think of what the names are of the game, so I'm like, you need to find something that you think that would be a good thing to say.
Right.
So I prepared you for that one,
nice.
Which I'm proud of myself. So know that, like, if he asks you that question, he is interested in you. That is something I noticed. Then he went to me, and I was right after Andrew, and of course, like, I mean, I was like, I need to either match his energy or go way above it, but I'm like, he likes Andrew. Like, there's really not much, because I have the same answers as Andrew, pretty much. Like, there isn't really anything else I could say that's different. So I kind of just, like, did what I could and was energetic and, you know, things like that, but he moved on from me pretty quick. And
talked about being an improviser.
Yeah, I talked about it being an improviser, tried to do something a little different, because he didn't say anything, Andrew didn't say anything about improv, and he did say something like, oh, maybe Drew can give you some tips or whatever. I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, he kind of stayed on me for a minute, but I think it was clear that Andrew and I were together, and they don't choose anyone out of the same group, so I think he was like, oh, yeah, that guy.
Lord knows I didn't want to be like, I'm an entertainer, I'm a podcaster, and then he just shoots me right then and there, and it's like, what a joke, right?
Yeah, because he makes fun of actors, because I said I was an actor the first time I was there, and he was like, oh, okay, cool, like, ooh, an actor, and he did that to some guy in our group, too. He was like, okay, cool. Like,
so, definitely don't do that. That's a tip. Say something else. It doesn't have to be, I mean, the truth, quote unquote.
Just be energetic, though. That's the main thing.
Energetic, but not too energetic, but also genuine. Look him in the eyes. He is essentially testing you. If we put you up there with Drew, what kind of banter are you going to have with him, as well as are you going to make for good TV when you win? Are you going to be genuinely interested? Are you going to be able to play the games that don't cause long breaks or disturbances or incohesiveness, whatever?
Right. Yeah, so after the interview, it was pretty clear that he was only interested in, like, I would say a max 3 people in our group. Most of the people,
which is a lot, actually.
Which is a lot. Like, that was probably a pretty competitive group that we were in.
15, 20 people per group.
Yeah, exactly. But most people are really boring. That's something that I really noticed, is that most people don't understand that it is an audition. It's not like a random, oh, I'm pulling a piece of paper out of a hat. It is like, no, you need to be interesting if you want to be on TV. And maybe some people don't want to be and they don't care about trying, and that's fine. So after we were done, they walk you to another area where they're like food and water that you can buy. They're playing an episode of The Price is Right, and you have to drop your phone off at that point. So that point, I think you have to wait maybe I think we waited a half hour.
Yeah, give or take.
I feel like it was a little less than an hour, but just waiting
Go under, don't go over on your guess.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. This is why I wasn't on. So we waited in that area for a little while, just waiting for all the people to be done with their interviews, because that's the main thing. I have to wait for everyone to be done with that, and for them to make their decisions and all of those things. So while we were waiting in there, I was telling Andrew, I'm like, I think you're gonna get on. And I was like, it's either gonna be you, because in my mind, I thought they only choose one person per group. And there was another woman who was by us. I think her name was Muriel. She got on as well. She was the black woman who got to the showcase. For those of you who have seen the episode, she was right next to Andrew. It was the person he talked to right before Andrew, and she was super energetic. And he was on her for a while too. And I was like, ooh, like if they really do just choose one person per group, she might beat Andrew just because he stayed on her a little longer. So I was telling him, I was like, I think it's either you or her. And you said, like, why wouldn't it be you? And I'm like, out of the two of us, he's gonna choose you. Like, that's pretty obvious to me. So finally, they brought everyone in. It's just kind of open. I mean, there are pages that kind of show you to your seat, but doesn't matter if you were sitting by someone, you may get split from them. For example, the group that had that woman in it was clear on the other side of the audience. Like, we did not sit by each other. We were in the very corner of right stage side. So it was kind of already difficult, like, thinking if any of us get in, it's kind of a difficult place to, like, run into the stage. So we all sit down. They're playing music. This is something that, I told Andrew, I'm like, keep up the energy. And honestly, you didn't really. Not, like, as much as I thought you would need to, because I'm like, if you want to, like, you need to be, like, dancing, or you need to be, I don't know, because he's still watching people. So we all sit down, After the music stops, they bring out George Gray, who's the announcer. He talks to everyone and just tells them the rules, like, make sure you're clapping when we tell you to clap, because there's a woman there who's telling us to clap the whole time or to be quiet. So he's like, oh, just watch her. Then he explains, he's like, I may mess up your name because they don't give me a pronunciation of your name. I just have to guess. But the thing is, you can't hear me when I say your name because everyone's going to be cheering. So look at the woman who is telling you to cheer, not to cheer. She'll have a cue card that has your name written down the way that you wrote it down. So, you know, it can't get fucked up. So then he goes to his little booth that's on the side where he announces. George Gray announces the first 4 contestants, and then Drew Carey comes out. So we haven't seen Drew at all. It's all hectic the first 15, 20 seconds of the show. It's just euphoria.
So the music begins, the lights are on, everybody's clapping and cheering and just going crazy. Everything's blaring, and George welcomes us. And then he begins to read off the first 4 contestants. And the lady removes the first cue card, revealing the first name, and it says Andrew Scroggs.
Yeah, you were the first one to go down. It was so crazy, which in my perspective, I'll tell my perspective, then you tell yours.
Oh, sure.
So I was not paying attention because, as I said, it's like they instruct you to just interrupt, and it would just happen all so fast. I didn't notice that it was Andrew's name until after he started leaving, because he started leaving, and I was like, where are you going? I hadn't even noticed that they pulled the cue card quite yet, and I looked over at the cue card and it said Andrew. Was like, oh my god, you're going up, oh my god. It was a crazy experience being like, what, this is happening, and it's happening this fast, holy crap, So you tell your perspective.
Well, everybody goes crazy. I'm just like, the first thought is, oh shit, I gotta get down there. I didn't want to get in trouble or any of those things. Just, immediately. And I know everybody says it, but I literally was not expecting to get picked. I'm like,
no.
I love The Price is Right, but I am not nearly knowledgeable enough to think about, I know how to get on. I know exactly how to game this or worry about it. And since I was the very back, literally my chair couldn't have been furthest from the stage. So I had to run through. I was high-fiving everybody on my way down, especially because I was the first name called, and so, all the focus was on me. I got to be on the red portion of the bidders row. I don't know what you call it, red.
I don't know, red microphone.
I got on the red mic, which red is my favorite color, and so then they called the next 3 people, and I got to make the very first bid, which we bid on.
Well, but let's tell this important part. One of the first 4 was the lady right next to you.
Oh, right, Mira, all right.
So that blew my theory out of the water that they only choose 1 per group. That's not true. He could pick everyone in 1 group if he wanted to. Right. So,
and
just so
going
you know.
on that, so if you are with a large group of people, if you all wear the same T-shirt, if you've got
only
20 people
one
with you,
of you,
maybe one of you will get down there. However, if you all wear separate stuff and you don't act like you're all together, if you actually want to get on the show, get down to Bidders Row, don't wear stuff that is all similar as if we are one group, because they're only going to call one of you down there, right?
Right, because what we're kind of referencing is, for people who saw the episode, they probably noticed a ton of neon green shirts in the audience. I think George Gray, during one of the breaks, was trying to talk to them and be like, so where are you from? And I think it was a trailer park thing. But there were 50 people there.
Right.
That were all wearing green shirts, and only one of them got called down. That guy ended up being called down in the first group and never got on the stage. So it was awful. He did so bad. But that showed it's smart in the way that pretty much guaranteed at least one of you was going to go up, but then that's it.
Right. So they don't want that same T-shirt on TV twice. They don't want the same.
Exactly.
They want a variety.
Exactly. So if you're going in a big group, I would say definitely don't worry about matching. Just wear whatever you want to wear and just hope that multiple of you will get in.
And it doesn't really matter what you wear. Some people think, oh, I have to be clever. I have to. I literally just bought a Price is Right shirt. You may want some Price is Right swag, but it's not necessary. You can wear normal clothing. I just wore a Price is Right t-shirt that I bought from Amazon. And, Jessica, you had a nice shirt, but it definitely doesn't have to be specific or any of that.
Right. I was ready because I had a shirt that says, I love Drew. Because it was a double meaning that I love Drew Carey, but also that I love Andrew, my husband. And so I was so ready to do that, and then it didn't happen. It's fine. So you get called up. Tell us about the first round.
So I think they had sunglasses that were the first item. And I love the sun. I never try to shade myself from it, so I had no idea the cost. So I had to go first, and I'm not nervous, but I literally was like trying to process everything of like, oh yeah, that's right.
Because it happens fast. It's
that's
like, all right, let's go.
It's a game. Yeah, there's no like, okay, now that you guys are down here, Drew's going to come over. It's literally Drew walks out, okay, hey, how's it going, everybody? All right, we got the sunglasses. What do you bid, Andrew? And I'm like, oh shit, we're on. The cameras are pointing at me. I'm like, So I threw up $700.
Yeah, you looked at me, which I said 700 because Bidders Row I'm awful at it. When I watch at home, I'm much better at
look back at you then.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm trying to help, but Bidders Row is definitely hard for me. So that I did say that, and it was way more than that.
Right. So I didn't win that one. Someone else got on stage. And they lost their game. Then the next bid was for
the oven.
Yeah, like an outdoor barbecue oven or something like that. No,
I think it was a regular oven.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking it was the one that was after me. Yeah. So it was an oven and something else, and I had 1,800 in my mind, but then I thought, oh, you know what? I gotta play the game. Anytime I'm watching at home and I see people bidding and not following the rules of Price is Right, which are, if you go over the price, you lose, but you want to get nearest without going over. So you can bet $1 a lot of times, and then you'll get any price up into, whatever the second highest one was, or you can bid $1 over somebody's last bid, and they literally only get that amount, and then you get any more amount than that. So somebody else bid like $11.50, and I couldn't hear what they said, so I had to ask Drew. I'm like, what did they say? Because you can't even see yourself on TV. They have no monitors, so you can't see yourself.
And it's hard to hear because everyone's yelling at you. And but also, Andrew is deaf in his left ear, which the way he's positioned is really, Sorry, I said that into your left ear.
My left mic.
I'll tell you in your right ear that your left ear can't hear. You were in the worst position because your left ear was facing all of the people. Right. You were on the far right. So it was extra hard for you to hear. So, it's hard.
And that's why I was not, like I said, I wasn't nervous. I had no problem asking Drew that rather than going, oh shit, I didn't hear. Let's just make up a number. I'll have no problem stopping the show and saying,
and people do it all the time. Yeah.
And he told me the number and I said, oh, gotta do it, 1151. So we went on, and somebody else bid like 1,800.
Right. Yeah, it was a lady who was by us.
And she was able to win and go on, and she won the oven, but then her game was to play for her car, and she got so close to winning. Close. She had to roll a bunch of dice, and she got all the dice she needed except for one, and she got to re-roll it twice, but still didn't get the dice she needed, so she didn't win. But then the third bid came up, and it was for a reclining chair and
you were in the perfect position because if the person to the left of you gets on stage, that means you're going to be the last to bid in the next round, which is the best place to be in because, like in your case, explain what got you up there.
Well, that's the best spot to be in because the person next to me, she went up, Muriel, that we just talked about, and so then it goes in order to the left of who went, who got up there, so I was in the last position, so bidding on the chair and the nook, everybody went before me, and somebody said $675, and it got to me, and I said to Drew, I'm like, I'm so sorry, like, I gotta do it. 676, he says to me, my therapist says you don't have to, you're choosing to. And I kind of nodded along with him and just accepted, like, yes, I'm a bad person and I'm choosing to do this. And so we had a little laugh moment, and the price was like 1,000.
Yeah, it was
and
still way more than you
and
said.
so I won by a mile because I played the game.
Yes.
I played the way it's supposed to be played.
Definitely, if you're going to try to be on the show, watch the show.
Learn the rules.
Because there are a lot of dumb people on Bitters
People
Row.
literally trying to guess it exactly right. Versus
don't
like
do
me,
that.
if I thought it actually was $1,200, I would have eliminated so much if I had said,
Right.
"Oh, give me $1,100." Versus I went, "Hey, sorry guys, this is the only time I'm going to be in
Exactly.
this
No.
position."
And
where
don't
I
feel
get to-
bad about it.
Right.
Like,
You're all
just
here to
do
win
it.
the game too, right?
Right.
So I won. Everything started dinging. I had no idea I won. I was looking around because I just couldn't hear. It was just so hard. And then I realized everybody was looking at me, and so I run up the.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I knew immediately that you won because I knew that you had the highest bid, and immediately as he said 1,000, whatever, I was like, yes, but I was the only one that really, like, caught on that quickly, and so, like, I'm curious if because we're recording this like a week after it happened. We haven't watched the episode, so I'm curious if in the episode you can actually hear one little tiny scream from me initially. Yes! And then everyone figures it out.
Who was it who won?
Right.
So I ran up on stage. I'm high-fiving everybody. I, do a big old handshake with Drew. He immediately jumps into the game. We don't chat very much, at least until the game starts. So I had to play tic-tac-toe, where the premise is you're getting a certain amount of X's depending on which prices you're able to guess right, and then you hope that you're able to make a tic-tac-toe when they reveal where the X spot was on the board. So he explained the rules, and he had a little, joke with George because the prizes, or at least the things I was guessing the price of, was a can opener and a Bluetooth water bottle.
Yeah.
Which is mind-blowing that even exists, but that almost made it easier. So
yeah,
they had a little back
your
and
guessing
forth,
was
right?
really easy.
Right. So when they revealed the prize, right after it showed what the game was, the prize was a trip to the Stanley Cup. And they brought out the actual Stanley Cup was there on stage. And Drew is like grabbing me by the shoulders and going like, "That's the real thing! That's the real thing!" And because of where I was standing on stage, I couldn't see it. The game kind of like cut off my vision and the way, the stage is framed or whatever. And so I thought he was just talking about the image on the TV that said Stanley Cup, and I was just like going along with like,
cool,
oh, this is like a dumb joke, but like, ha ha ha. And he's like, you see, that's that clip art, that's the real one. But he was actually freaking out because it was really there, and so I went along with it, and then I was able to peek over and go, oh wow, okay,
like,
and I'm not
okay.
a big hockey fan, but that's
cool.
pretty awesome,
yeah.
right? The fact that he was so excited too. So I made a joke with him, like, hey, let's drink some beers out of it, if I win, because that's what the hockey players do, right, when they win. They're able to drink out of it. So I played the game. I had to guess whether...
Well, you get a free X.
Get a free X.
Which I told you to put it at the top left.
That's pretty
which
standard.
The audience agreed with me.
And, even during parts of the game where I knew 100% where I was going to go with it, I just looked at the audience, looked at Jessica, best to double check, give them the thumbs up, make sure they cheer for you, and go, okay, I'm playing this game the best way possible. I want to get the odds. So I put the X top left, then I had to guess the price of a can opener, and it was either
$13 or like $22.
Right, 20, yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna guess this is low because it's
I may have done the wrong prices. Oh no, it was like 20 something or
huge.
50. It was like a huge gap.
Exactly. It was a huge gap. It was $22 or $59, I think, right? So I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm going to go $22, right, guys? Everybody cheers. Yeah. Okay, 22.
Easy.
Bing, 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 bing. They give me another X. That one I put in the top right. Going, okay, I've got the top part.
No, you put it in the bottom right.
Bottom right.
Yeah.
Funny that we'll have just watched this episode, but we'll release it.
We're like trying to remember. So if you're going to go in the comments, if you're going to go in the comments and correct us, just know this all happened. It was a blur. We haven't watched the recap. It
was even a blur when it was happening. I was like, wait, what?
Exactly.
Price is right? Where's Bob? So then I put the X down there, went to the next one, the Bluetooth water bottle, which was either $13 or like $38 or $35, something like that. And I went, well, if it's Bluetooth anything, I don't know how they're going to make it for $13, especially if they're really going for it. So I said 38, got the audience's approval. They all cheered. It was correct. So I got that last X. I put it in the top right. you know, putting it up there. It was funny because right before the show, like right before I started playing the game, and I knew, okay, you essentially have to pick in your mind where you think the X is going to be, and then just hope that it's there based on where you're putting the X's. Obviously, there's more strategic places to put it if you assume. But I thought for a second, it's going to be at the bottom. It's going to be at the bottom.
Oh, God.
And then I went, no, just play the game and put the X's where they tell you to put them, and we'll do it that way because that's better odds. Guessing where it is means nothing if you can, you know, work the odds. So I gave myself a 66% chance because I got everything right. And Drew hits the button. Nothing happens, and he realizes
really? I
the
didn't
machine
notice that.
wasn't working. So then he had to give it another big hit and, you know, set himself up again. I wonder if they'll edit out the mistake. We'll see.
I didn't notice
but
that.
he was like, nope. All right, let's see it again. And then turned around. The X was in the middle. I was able to get diagonal tic-tac-toe. I won. I sprinted over to where they had the Stanley Cup. I hugged, I'm not sure what her name is, but one of the models that shows things off. Drew came running over there as well, and he wanted me, he said, help me pick it up. He wanted me to pick up the Stanley Cup with him like we had just won. And so we ran over there, and he grabbed it. Luckily, I hadn't touched it. And the person who was managing the Stanley Cup, whoever represents the NHL, had, you know, white gloves on, and is like, no, you know, don't grab it. So, you know, stopped us, but that would have been a great, I'm sure it would have gone viral if we had both grabbed it and ran it out there.
Like broke.
Dropped it or whatever, right? So they were, you know, him and I high-fived, and I got to touch the Stanley Cup and just looked at all the names that are all, you know, covering it. It was just really cool. And obviously very silver and polished and so well and all that stuff. So that was really cool. And then the lights cut out and they went to break. They brought me over because I was the third one. That meant that we were going to spin the wheel afterwards.
Which the third place is the best place to be.
Right,
he really was
last.
in like one of the in the best place of pretty much everything. Like he was very lucky.
So they brought us over, and they got us mic'd up at Bidders Row, so that way they could hear us when we went on stage. A lot of people don't know that because after the first bid, they had somebody come by. So we had microphones on. They made sure we turned those off, and they brought down like a screen and made us go behind it. And the producers talked to us and said, "Okay, you know, congratulations. So this is how it's going to work. You're going to spin the wheel. You're going to get a moment to talk to Drew and say hi to your friends. Just don't, you know, say any names of any businesses or anything because we're going to have to edit all of that out. Here's how the way the wheel works. If you lose, go stand over there and you talk to them. If you win, just stay here with Drew, and Drew will, you know, point you to where you're going to go for the showcase." So we chit-chatted a little bit before the wheel. The other two people I was with, they both lost their game, so they were talking to me about, oh, you know, congratulations, and oh, that must be so fun, and, you know, did they talk to you about how you're going to get it and stuff? And I'm like, oh, no, they didn't talk to me about any of that stuff. It was like, you know, 15 seconds ago, and they threw me back over here. So we waited, and he said, okay, you know, we're going to call it out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to pull this up, and it's going to start. Drew's going to come out, and we're going to get right to spinning the wheel. So they pulled it up, got right to spinning the wheel. Drew came over. Two people in front of me, they spun. They got their numbers. I can't remember quite what they were. But
I don't remember the first girls, but it was fairly low, because the second woman spun it and got an 85, and it beat her.
Which
so
is pretty good. 85 is tough to beat. So I did my first spin, and I got 45 cents, right?
I think you got 60.
Right, I got 60 cents, and Drew asked me if I want to say hi. I said, you know, hi to my wife, his 25th birthday, hi to all my friends and family in Salt Lake City, and I gave a shout out to my dog, D'Artagnan. I told him thanks for watching, assuming as if he would be at home when we watched the episode and I could force him. So I was just having a little bit of fun, especially because I could barely even hear myself.
Right.
Obviously, they've got the mic for the TV, but in studio. And so then I did my second spin, and it is heavy. I know everybody who has been on the show probably says that, but it's heavier than it looks. I thought, oh, I should go soft with it and try to manipulate as best I can and do like just one full spin and try to get to that dollar. But even giving it all my might, you know, didn't go around maybe almost 2 times or whatever. And so I really figured out, okay, wow, there's no strategy to this. I just got to grab a hold of this wheel and kind of give it all I have and hope for the best. So I got 45 cents the second time, and that put me over $1. So unfortunately, I lost
by 5
there,
cents, which is just
And that was the end of my
Heartbreaking.
journey on stage. They escorted me away, and then you get to sit in these prime time seats that are just for the winners, that are the very front row in the far right. And so I got to watch the rest of the show, and everybody else went up to Bidders Row, and I think only one more person won their game, so only 2 out of the 6. So
so Andrew was almost the only person who won his game, which is crazy.
Even the people who won the showcase or went to the showcase, neither of them won their showcases. So, or only one of them won the showcase, but they didn't win their games before that. So the person went on, won their showcase, got to chat with the other people during. I wasn't able to see you or talk to you, obviously.
They didn't give me any direction whatsoever. No one came over to me, because I thought that maybe they would come over and be like, oh, here, you can, like, go sit over here. It's easier to see him. I think with the showcase, maybe before they announce who won, I do think that they maybe bring the families over.
Right? Because they had the producer come over where we were sitting and say, like, oh, do you have anybody with you? And she's like, oh yeah, my sister, my mom. And they said, okay, we'll go grab her. And so
but
they bring them backstage and let them on stage whenever you win.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So they don't tell you anything unless you're the showcase people. So you went. I don't even know where you went. I did not see you leave at all. I just, once everything was done, everyone's like, okay, bye. I looked down at where you were.
Spay and neuter your pets.
That's true.
Then good.
Thank you. That's very important. Because you sat away from me. You never, even after the first half of the show, when you were done, it was like, okay, you're done. They still had you sit in the front. And I know it's because, they need to talk to you and do all the paperwork, and they don't want to try to find you after that. But yeah, so I was by myself the entire show. They said,
we want that face on TV. They said, don't leave yet. Stay down there in the camera bay.
Right.
We're going to make sure we catch a little bit of that as we're sliding across.
Exactly. So they didn't tell me anything. I was by myself the entire show, which, by the way, just from my perspective, I'm just glad you got past Bidders Row, because that was the most stressful thing, was just hoping that you get on stage, because once again, Bidders Row is really, really hard. So I was just stressing out, and I only had the
especially because I got picked first.
Exactly.
I went the whole show.
Exactly. I was by myself the whole show, and I can only have the comfort of, like, these random strangers just randomly telling me, like, oh, that's awesome, that's great, like, good for you. So, but at the end, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I wait here for you? Are you going to come back out this way? Do I need to go back outside and wait for you? The answer is, after much time just standing there watching everyone, like, walk away from the stage, I eventually was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave, because no one's telling me anything. Right. So I did. I went and got my phone, and then I waited. They did eventually tell me, there is an area just outside where you wait for everyone. So I waited, because you were one of the ones who won the most besides the showcase winner. You took the longest besides her. So we were just sitting there with some pages.
Right. And in the meantime, I have to go into the inner offices of The Price is Right, myself and all of the bidders. So anybody who got down to bid automatically won $300 regardless if you got on stage. So they had to fill out paperwork as well.
And there was also, they choose one other they really do randomly just choose, because you get a number associated with you as well, not just your name tag. So they pull the number out that you're associated with. So they pull out a number, and whoever has that number will get $100. So It's another chance at the very, very end of the show for someone to get some more money.
Make your day a little bit more worth it if you waited so long. So they took us down to the studio offices and explained, how the prizes were going to work. So here's some insider info now that I can talk about it. They told us first things first, do not talk about being on the show because it hasn't aired yet. It's going to air April 15th, tax day. But they said don't share any of that information. We don't want it to influence anything, or if it doesn't end up airing, you don't get any of the prizes. So you have to forfeit all of that if anything gets out. They can decide at any time to take that away if you disregard the rules that they're asking you to follow. So they talked to us individually about the prizes and their worth. And so the way that it works is a lot of people think that you can just return the prizes for whatever the cash estimate of it was. And that is incorrect. There is no cash value for anything. And so all of it is income tax. People think, oh, I'm going to get taxed, like an arm or leg and 30% and all this. Obviously, it is California, so you're going to have to pay state and federal tax. But it is income. Well,
and you said if you're from a different state, you have to pay California taxes and whatever your state is. So we got a little lucky on that, too, because we are from California now. So
they told us exactly how the prizes were going to work and how it was going to be claimed on your income tax, exactly like working a job. So you didn't have to pay anything right then and there. It wasn't like, hey, you need to send us a check for the taxes on this before you're able to get the prize. It's essentially, this is what your prize is valued at, so now you have to turn that in as if you've made that amount of money working a job here at Price is Right, and we paid you this, estimate. And so everybody else had to either accept their, little things that they bid on, or, for the showcase person, she got all of her vacations and all the other prizes, so I had to deal with that. But for me, they said your case is particular because you won a trip to the Stanley Cup, and they don't know where that is going to be because the teams aren't decided until right before the playoffs happen, and especially the Stanley Cup itself. So because of that, and when they're going to air the show, he said this is the only time that we are going to give you cash instead of giving you the prize
because
itself.
You can't commit to it.
You can't commit to it versus a trip to Barbados or something. It's like, okay, you're either going to go or you're not, but you can schedule when you're going to go. But the Stanley Cup, it has to be here, and it has to be, at that time. And so I got 4 tickets to the Stanley Cup, and I was able to get a $10,000 check for the cost of the trip, and I still get all the other prizes. So I get 4 tickets to the NHL Stanley Cup that I can sell, or potentially we're going to go to, so we'll find out. I got a bunch of hockey jerseys. I got the Stanley Cup. That was something I took. I got the chair and the nook that I got up there, bidding on and stuff. So all in all total, it was, about roughly $15,000 in prizes that I was able to win that day. So filled out all of that information, accepted everything, even the Bluetooth water bottle and the can opener they gave me, right? So it's like, yep, that can opener really is valued at $22. Yep. That's what it is, or whatever. And so they're going to send me all that after the show airs. So you have to wait to get all of your prizes until after it airs. So I probably won't get any of this until April or May. Please don't rob me of my Bluetooth water bottle. Now that I'll get a little cash. But they sent me out. I filled out everything, and I was the very last person to do so. Everybody else, they just got through. Maybe it's because of my last name. I'm not sure how they did it, but I was the last person to get out. Came out, saw you. They gave me my name cue card that they used to call me up, so I've got that over on my wall.
Yeah, we'll take a picture of it and put it on.
Posted in there, as well as the picture we took outside of it. Just so happy and completely mind blown because, as you said at the beginning of the episode, we are recording this only maybe a month after we've moved here, so maybe a week or so after we actually went to the Price is Right, and being able to win that money, and not only win not the prize, because if we had to go to the Stanley Cup and had to do those things, that's great, that's awesome, but it's not necessarily life-saving. But
it's a cool experience.
Right now, as we're looking for jobs and as we're trying to start our creative life here in Los Angeles and build all those things, being able to have an awesome Price is Right nest egg was just huge for us to be able to erase our anxiety and we're kind of gloating here, but why wouldn't you? We're so lucky to be able to go on there, and I nailed it, played the game perfectly. I'm so happy with myself because every time I watch the show, everybody does that. Hopefully you do. If you're watching Jeopardy or whatever, you're trying to win yourself as if you were playing the games, and it's just so hard when somebody makes a boneheaded move and you go, why? You could have bid $1 and won. That person bid $5,000. No way an iPod is worth that, or, whatever. And so being able to go, nope. Sorry, I know I'm on TV, I know millions of people are watching, and I could be nice and go, oh, I'm just going to pick this number. I don't want to make this person beside me mad that I just completely screwed their chance over of winning. Instead, nope, got on the stage, was able to put the X's right. I got an easy game. I mean, luckily I picked it correctly. won, was able to get an awesome prize, and it just so happened to be, exactly what we needed and a huge amount. I would have been happy to win the $100 at the end of the show. I would have been telling everybody about that. Oh, at the end, the Price is Right. They pick one person, it gets $100, and it was me, and I got to high five everybody. But instead, I got to get up on stage and joke around with Drew Carey for a little bit, who's a big hero of mine. I mean, he's an improviser and a performer, and just a person that's come back from some tough stuff and some inner demons that he had, and has become an awesome, successful person. And a great host of The Price is Right to take the place of Bob Barker. So it was great to shake hands with him and, see the inner workings and kind of behind the scenes, as well as knowing how the prizes are won, as well as just seeing oh, wow, it's real. This is how it's done. You just show up and it could be you. And there's tons of, you might wait in line at the Ellen show and you get picked to be part of the 12 Days of Christmas, and or you're in the Oprah's crowd and you get a free fucking car or, whatever. So if you have any interest in going to any of these shows, they're so much fun, and there's so much energy there. But, hey, it literally could change your life if you get on there.
Right.
Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
But that's why make sure you study up, because if you were in the position like that, if you actually have a really good idea of what the price of that prize would be, you can get up.
Right, why not? If you're actually going there to win, because that's it's funny. The last thing we'll mention, and then we'll wrap this up. On the way to The Price is Right, I actually was watching YouTube videos of how to win on The Price is Right, to study up to exactly what we're doing here for you. I watched another video by someone else who had won and got the inside scoop and information, and kind of used that to my advantage. Obviously, the prices, you're just going to have to watch the show and be a working class person who has to purchase your own groceries. But other than that, you can actually know the best way to give yourself the best odds to play the game correctly and get on the show. So if you're there to watch The Price is Right, you might as well try to win. You might as well try to get on. So, yeah.
And we'll link that YouTube video that you watched, just because obviously it helped you.
Cool. Yeah, most definitely.
So with all this said, we actually joked around before. I told my parents the day before on my birthday, because they called me to say happy birthday, and I told him, I was like, oh, because my dad loves Price is Right, my mom really likes it too. And I was like, oh, Andrew's gonna take me to Price is Right, and they're like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, so even though we don't have jobs quite yet, the plan is just to have Price is Right be our job. And they're like, okay, ha ha ha. And it kind of actually happened a little bit. Right. So it's really funny that, that actually, that one thing that Andrew was like, oh, I'll get some tickets for, this is you. Oh, I'll get some tickets.
That does not sound like me. Come on, Jessica.
For my wife, I'll do that.
No, it was like this.
I'll go and I'll get tickets for The Price is Right. See, that's different.
Yeah, it's very different. But that one decision that you made just ended up, and of course I know, I was joking with someone in the audience next to me. I was like, it's really interesting that we actually are here because it was my birthday yesterday, and he's actually the one who got to go on and live this dream that I've had for so long. And they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the best birthday ever. This is one of the greatest moments of my life right now, seeing my husband get on The Price is Right and win prizes that are life-changing, which I didn't know that we were just getting the cash value till after. So I thought, oh, we're going to Stanley the Cup. And we both separately got this reaction from some people who were like, do you even like hockey? They asked me too.
You're unworthy of that prize.
Yeah, they're like, do you even like it? I'm like, yeah, my dad and my brother and a few other people in my family play hockey. Yeah. My dad...
Madonna.
Yeah, which is funny because...
That's a 90s hockey reference.
My dad was... served an LDS mission in Toronto, and he's been a hockey fan all of his life, and he actually got to touch the Stanley Cup as well at the museum.
Wait, then when he did it, it was a crime.
It was a crime.
I did it consensually.
Yeah, no, he was not supposed to, but he did. So it was kind of funny seeing that, mirrored thing of you touching it and someone saying no, and him being able to touch it before and someone saying no, you can't. So it's really funny that you both got to do that. So
hopefully that doesn't get taken out of context. And then you tried to touch it and they said no.
And they said no.
And you laugh.
No, yeah.
Please, nobody soundbite that.
I meant what I said. So
Chris Matthew'd.
Yeah. So this was a little longer than we intentionally made it, but it obviously was a big deal for us, so we wanted to be, and some people we'll probably get a ton of questions anyway from people, so this is just kind of a detailed, this is what to expect when you go there, this is how we were able to successfully get on
and win,
and how we were able to kind of, like I said, he got really
in my first time. Right?
Yeah, he had never been to
obviously
the Price is
luck
Right,
was
ever.
involved, but give yourself the best chance for everything.
Especially because it's a long process.
Right.
I've been through the process of going through all of that long, like 5 hours. Like we got there 12:30. I think we were leaving at 6:30, so it was more like 6 hours. Right. It really does suck getting out and being like, man, I just waited and I could have got on if I had just been more energetic, if I had been more interesting, if I had actually prepared, then it's much more fulfilling, obviously.
Can you imagine how much worse it would feel if you got on and lost? You go, I could have had a car, but I didn't know that in that game you want to always go with that, or you want to make sure you go lower than over, not just guess the amount. Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly. But just to show, I mean, it's possible, and we watched The Price is Right for like 2 weeks straight in preparation to make sure that we both were prepared, and I do think that really the ultimate thing is just knowing The Price is Right, like being up to date. It's not going to be perfect. A lot of the games are just straight up chance, and there's only so much you can do about that. But definitely we wanted to kind of share, like, how we got to that point, how easy it is to be able to just go ahead and do that, and it can be life-changing.
Just a positive story about moving to LA. If you're listening to this podcast, you must be interested or already live here in LA, and just shows like, hey, obviously a lot of luck is involved, but also intentional effort is involved as well. We had to go get those tickets, we had to show up, we had to put our best foot forward. Same thing, no matter what you're moving out here for. Maintain, like Tommy Wiseau said, keep that positive energy going.
Well, he said, keep that positive energy going.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, ha ha ha. Now to how to watch it. So, obviously, it's a little too late at this point because we had to release it after it aired to actually watch it live on April 15th. So, Andrew was told that it stays on CBS.com for 5 days. You can do a free, so you can do a free trial of CBS All Access. So if you want to see the episode and it's between April 15th and April 20th, I would say, you could still check.
Yeah, because it
might still be on there a little longer, but that's what we were told. So if you're listening to it during that time, definitely go on there. You can see it. We'll put a link. We'll also try to record the key moments of Andrew's stuff. So if you don't want to watch the whole episode, you don't have to.
Right.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have to anyway because he's only in there the first half.
Right.
But
I think we'll be able to put that on our website. I think. Because we're not using it for money.
No.
We're not going to.
We'll look into it, but
so you might be able to watch it on our website through a YouTube link that we make. Straight up there on the episode itself.
Yeah, we'll look into it, make sure it's cool, and if it is, you'll see a link showing you where you can watch at least just Andrew's part, so if you're only interested in that, that's fine. But the entire episode, plus there are reruns, so it may pop up. There may be a way to even look and see when that episode will come back on.
Starting my career here.
That would be awesome if we got real residuals. Like, all right, another 10,000. You just get it every single time it airs.
Is there a Contestants Guild of America I need to be signing up for, right? Or Winners Guild?
And so it was a really fun time, and we definitely recommend it to anyone who thinks that they have enough energy and knowledge of Price is Right to make some money or get some cool prizes. So.
Just one of many things that can happen to you when you're moving to LA.
Yep.
And so with that, we'll end the podcast and say,
if you made it here,
you've made it here.